Eat, love, pray. These were the last beautiful days of autumn, when many fires would be closed, and I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. When I was alone, contrary to popular belief, I realized that I could hear my own voice better, understand my soul better, and feel my emotions much more deeply. I had watched this movie starring Julia Roberts, which I watched on Netflix just before the finalization of my divorce case 2 years before. However, this time, my feelings were much more intense because I was in the same position as her. In the generic of the film, the main hero leaves his wife and goes to Italy, then to India, and finally to Tibet to find himself. There she attends the meditation training of a Buddhist master. Even though I needed such a big journey these days, there were dozens of reasons why I couldn't leave the place. But my heart soul was in search and I had to calm it down. It was the 19th year of my arrival in Ankara, and I was one of those who loved the city without even knowing it. When I was in secondary school in Izmir Bey, I would study on the veranda on the upper floor of our house on hot days and watch the planes taking off from Adnan Menderes Airport and passing over us, taking off to Ankara. And at that time, every time, I prayed to God, will you allow me to go to where this plane is going one day? I would say. In those years, I had no idea why I wanted such a thing, but in the last few years, I realized that there is an invisible energy bond between our souls and the saints of the city, whose existence we do not even know, and we are literally drawn to those lands. That's why until I went to Tibet, it seemed like a smarter idea to get to know the city I was in, with its aspects that I could not see for 19 years and could not understand even if I saw it. After a little research, I had put Hacı Bayram Veli Mosque, where I could cry and be in therapy, at the top of my list. The next day, I had set out early and proceed by asking questions, drew myself into the courtyard of a mosque among the narrow cobblestone streets. I was thinking that I could take with me a local vest belonging to my ex-wife, which I found from the bottom of the wardrobe just a few days ago, and leave it in a suitable place inside the mosque. Yes, I did that too. Then I went upstairs to the ladies' section and started to share my troubles with the creature in a suitable place in tears. But there was something strange. This place was much more secluded than I expected. At that moment, I was apologizing to God Almighty for not being able to make a proper entrance into the mosque and in the style I had dreamed of. I turned my head down and asked the religious official whether this was the Hacı Bayram Mosque. When he said, "No, this is the İnciraltı Mosque," the first thing that came to my mind was this. A very carefully calculated scenario was hidden in the background of every incident we said we did. The divine message was that I could reach the saint I wanted to visit only by passing the first stage. Just like the obligation to reach the advisors of the president before arriving at his office. Disorder in the system had fascinated me from the first minute. This was exactly the kind of place my soul needed in those days. I don't know how many years it has been since I entered such a monumental place, but it had took me a long time to embrace that invisible God. Unlike the previous one, I had took care to enter here with extremely sensitive a courtesy and wished for time to stop so that I would not leave. I had poured the weight of the last 7 years into this sacred place without complaining. My tears, which I tried to hide, would sometimes attract the attention of a little baby passing by me, and he would look at my face for a long time with the pacifier in his mouth. Then, a lady of foreign nationality, probably Syrian, with a very beautiful voice, had sat next to me. The moment she started reading the holy book out loud with an Arabic accent, I had felt like my heart was being turned into pieces and going through a thin sob. I think this was a gift from the creature whose house I wished to be a guest in. I don't know what it means in Turkish, but I am sure it was exactly the consolation my heart longed to hear. Then it came to my mind who Hacı Bayram Veli really was. Who was this person? An old Bektashi and Sufi who lived in the 13th century during the Ottoman period. His real name is Numan bin Ahmed. But what surprised me was that he was a very successful poet. When I took a look at the poems he wrote with a little research, I was like discovered what kind of energy bond there was between us and why I was drawn to these lands after centuries. I was also honored to be the guest of a special soul who spoke with the language of heart. Close to sunset, I had to leave even though my feet were moving backwards and get out of this spiritual atmosphere that I had been thirsting for many years. Yes, I still want to go to Tibet, Cambodia, Vietnam and Burma. But I had also threads to take from these places where I lived. That day, I had all the flavors I needed, met a beautiful soul that did not exist physically, and returned home in awe.